The water started dripping through my ceiling at exactly 7:10 p.m. At first, I thought it was rain. Then a steady plop, plop, plop landed on my kitchen floor. I looked up just as a brown stain spread across the plaster. I sighed, grabbed my jacket, and headed upstairs. My neighbor, Emily, had moved in only a few months earlier. Quiet, polite, always smiled, but her eyes carried a tired heaviness, like someone who had learned not to expect help. I knocked. A moment later, the door opened just a crack. "Yes?" she asked, clearly embarrassed. "I think your shower's leaking," I said gently. "It's coming through my ceiling." Her face went pale. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. I tried fixing it myself, but it just got worse." She stepped aside, and I could see the problem immediately. The bathroom floor was soaked. Towels piled uselessly in the corner, water still dripping from a loose pipe under the sink. "I'll take a look," I said. She hesitated. "You don't have to." "It's fine," I replied. "Really." I shut off the water, tightened the pipe, and replaced a cracked washer I happened to have in my toolbox. It wasn't a perfect repair, but it stopped the leak. Emily watched silently from the doorway. When I finished, she let out a breath she'd clearly been holding. "Thank you," she said. "You have no idea how much that helps." I shrugged. "Neighbors, right?" She smiled, this time genuinely. That's when I noticed the small details. The sparse furniture. The unpaid bills stacked neatly on the counter. A framed photo of her and a little boy, smiling despite worn clothes. "My son," she said when she noticed me looking. "He's staying with my sister for now." "For now?" She nodded. "Until things get better." We stood there awkwardly. Then she offered me a cup of coffee as thanks. I almost declined, but something told me not to. That night, as I went back downstairs, I realized something strange. Helping her fix a broken shower felt like the smallest thing. But somehow it felt like the start of something much bigger, and I had no idea how much my life was about to change. The next morning, I woke to the sound of laughter drifting through the floor. It caught me off guard. The building was usually quiet, too quiet. I made coffee and stood by the window watching the city wake up. But my thoughts kept drifting upstairs. Around noon, there was a knock at my door. Emily stood there holding a small paper bag. "I made muffins," she said quickly, as if afraid I might refuse. "Just a thank you." They were slightly burnt around the edges, but I smiled like they were perfect. "Come in," I said. She hesitated, then stepped inside, looking around my small apartment. When she sat down, her hands trembled just a little. I noticed bruises on her wrist, fading but unmistakable. "You don't have to explain," I said gently. She looked up, eyes filling. "I wasn't going to, but—" "You helped me without asking questions. No one's done that in a long time." She told me everything. The broken shower wasn't just bad luck. Her ex-husband had ripped it apart during one of his visits, angry, drunk, furious that she wouldn't take him back. After that, the landlord stopped responding to her calls. Repairs cost money she didn't have. She worked 2 jobs, still behind on rent. Her son had been sent to her sister's. Not because she wanted to, but because she was afraid. "I didn't want him to see me like this," she whispered. That evening, the door downstairs slammed. Heavy footsteps climbed the stairs. Emily froze. "He's not supposed to be here," she said, panic rising in her voice. Before I could respond, a man's voice echoed from the hallway, slurred, loud, angry. "Emily, open the door." I stood up. "You stay here," I said quietly. I stepped into the hallway just as he reached her door. He smelled of alcohol and rage. "She owes me," he snapped. "This doesn't concern you." "It does now," I replied calmly, blocking the doorway. For a moment, I thought he'd hit me. Instead, he laughed. "You got no idea what you're getting into." "Maybe," I said. "But I know what's right." Someone down the hall called the police. The man backed away, cursing, disappearing down the stairs. Emily slid down the wall, shaking. I sat beside her, not touching, just present. That night, as sirens faded into the distance, I realized something. Fixing a shower was easy. Standing up for someone when it's uncomfortable, that's what changes everything. The police came later that night. They asked questions quietly, respectfully. Emily answered with shaking hands but a steady voice. When they left, promising a follow-up and giving her a card, the apartment felt different, lighter, but fragile like glass after a crack. She stayed in my apartment that night. Not because she asked, because I offered. The couch wasn't comfortable, and neither of us slept much. But knowing someone was nearby seemed to calm her. Around 3 a.m., she whispered, "Thank you," into the darkness. I didn't reply. Some moments don't need words. The next few days passed slowly. Emily filed a report. A restraining order followed. Her ex showed up once more, but this time he stayed across the street, shouting threats that meant less each time. Witnesses called the police before he even crossed the road. The landlord finally responded. Not kindly, but nervously. Apparently, police visits tend to get attention. The shower was repaired within 48 hours. The hallway light that had been broken for months suddenly worked again. Funny how urgency appears when silence stops being an option. Emily's son came home that weekend. I'll never forget the way he ran up the stairs. Backpack bouncing, calling her name. She dropped to her knees and held him like she might never let go again. He looked at me with curiosity and then smiled, shy but warm. "Mom says you're the guy who fixes things," he said. Emily laughed, really laughed, for the first time since I'd met her. But change never comes without cost. One evening, as I returned from work, a letter was taped to my door. My lease wouldn't be renewed. No explanation. Just a date. Emily saw my face and knew. "This is my fault," she said immediately. "No," I replied. "It's a price, and I'd pay it again." A week later, something unexpected happened. Emily got a call from a legal aid clinic. Someone anonymous had reported her situation. They offered free representation, help with housing assistance, and protection. She cried on the phone, nodding even though they couldn't see her. That same day I got a call too. A friend of a friend had heard about a guy who stood up to an abuser. There was a job opening. Better pay. Short notice. I took it. On moving day, Emily hugged me hard. "You didn't just fix a shower," she said. "You fixed our future." I shook my head. "You did that yourself." I just didn't walk away. As I drove off, I realized something simple and powerful. Sometimes helping someone doesn't change your life immediately. It just changes who you are forever.